What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is Monday afternoon, and I hope you guys are having a great day. The weather's actually going to warm up some this week, which will be great. And later this week, I'll get down and actually start doing some real work on the red brick house. So it's going to be busy, but I'm as excited as can be. And of course, next Sunday is Easter, and this weekend, come Saturday, we got USFL football, and we're definitely going to be checking that out on Saturday. Are you a gambler? Do you go ahead and have a couple of the betting apps and stuff? I mean, Lord knows, now that the NFL is in bed with, of course, gambling and getting all the gambling revenue that's out there, and now more and more states are making gambling legalized, like, the state I live in Virginia, all the apps work. I know Texas is working on it and so on. If you are a betting person, here's some interesting news as far as Micah Parsons goes. And you know what? I would love for this to happen. I truly would love for this to happen. Um, Defensive Player of the Year odds. Interesting. Myles Garrett is the odds-on favorite right now, 13-2. That's really good. That's really good. Um, T.J. Watt, 7-1, second place. Aaron Donald, 15-2. It's really good. And then comes Micah Parsons, 9-1 odds. That's pretty good. If you put $1, well, let's say $100 on Micah Parsons right now, and he ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year, you get 900 plus your $100 back. That's not a bad deal, and that speaks well for the season that they had and the expectations. Now, expectations are the building blocks of resentment. I'm wondering what Chase Young's odds were this time last year. Chase Young, from what I heard, okay, and again, it could be right or it could be wrong, but what I heard was Chase Young kind of got full of it when he became Rookie of the Year. It's easy when you end up being the top guy, when you walk in the door and you do really well. You think, this is easy. This is all easy. And you lose that hunger. And this is the thing I always look at, because a lot of times, especially in the draft, you have a lot of guys that go to big schools. And because they are in those big schools, they are better competition. They're the big boys. They're better than most of the people that they play. And you usually have great people around you. A lot of times, you come into the NFL where now all of a sudden everybody is great around you, but you're not the big fish in the little pond. And a lot of times, you're just going by sheer talent. Whereas you have some guys who weren't the best prospect, weren't the best athlete. They just became a tactician. They learned their craft better than the other guys. Their work ethic was better. And that's where you see guys like that have been taught. Don't take anything for granted. You may be doing really, really good here, but don't sit back on your laurels. You got to bust your ass to keep getting better and better. And what we heard about Chase Young was, Chase Young enjoyed the, being Rookie of the Year and kind of partied a little bit. It didn't quite work as hard in the off season. And when you looked at him coming out the gates, and I'm not talking about the injury can happen to anybody, I don't care what shape you're in. But you looked at it from the standpoint of he couldn't beat one-on-ones with tackles that weren't great tackles. And so there you start saying, huh. And then you started thinking, they had a great defensive front there. Did he benefit from that defensive front being really, really good? And what will he end up being like this year? Let's hope that's not the case with Micah. Let's hope that Micah does become that Defensive Player of the Year. Something Cowboys ain't seen in forever. if we're having hopes for the season, and it was funny because sometimes I'll do videos just to gauge the pulse and see the comments. And I did a video earlier about Dak Prescott. Gina had shared with me a tweet that had their top 10 quarterbacks. And in this top 10 list, they had Carson Wentz, they had Kirk Cousins, and there's like Deshaun Watson's not in there, Dak's not in there. And I'm looking at this list, and so I put it out there and said that Dak Prescott's not a top 10 quarterback, and I was at least doing head to head comparisons just to kind of see where people's thoughts were on this thing. And it's crazy the comments that you get that, oh, well, how can you put him in the top 10? He's got no conference championships. He's only got one playoff win. And I'm kind of like, yeah, well, that's all Kirk Cousins has. That's all Deshaun Watson has. Carson Wentz doesn't even have that. So, regardless, it's just kind of interesting when you start doing these kinds of things. And I had a thought on here about the reason why I brought that up. But there's perception versus reality on things. And unfortunately, our perception gets skewed by things that we're told constantly. And it's almost comical that, we're told that Diggs is trash. Oh, about Diggs. Yeah, he got 11 interceptions and all that, but, he ended up giving up 5 touchdowns. Well, I tell you what, I'll take 11 interceptions, giving up 5 any day, because turnovers and takeaways are like money in the bank. And he gave up 5, but he got 11. Because generally speaking, if you can get those takeaways, and this is where Micah Parsons can end up being the difference maker on this team. If he is that pass rush specialist, and let's say hypothetically he gets, 17, 18 sacks. Those forced fumbles, that fear of quarterbacks of trying to get the ball off quicker, that pass rush ability will lead to more turnovers. And when you get a turnover, the advantage is truly on the offense because the defense usually isn't ready. You come on the sidelines, you're drinking your Gatorade, you're talking to the coach about what they're doing and stuff, and then all of a sudden, defense! And now you got to find your helmet, you got to get out on the field, and the defensive coordinator's got to say, what are we calling? And teams are going to go down the field on you. And more times than not, they get easy, cheap scores. So those takeaways, those forced fumbles, those sacks, and guys like Micah Parsons can be the difference maker on how far you go. And hopefully we get a defense that helps us go down the road. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope to see you tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, as we start preparing for the draft. We'll be looking at some of the possible guys that the Cowboys could get as far as like offensive guards, and we're starting to set up our mock draft for next week. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.